Should I just do here?
No, show to the side. It's kind of weird.
Okay. All right. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Go ahead, Magnet. Nice and loud though.
Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer their respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author.
Jai. Shrinvatam Svagada Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyantastohya Bhadrani Vidhunoti Suhitsatam.
Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the benefactor of the truthful devotee. He who is the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses the desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who develops the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly done and chanted.
Very good. Nashta Prayeshwa Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki.
By regular attendance in the classes on Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will almost completely be destroyed, and loving service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead will be
Who's praised with transcendental songs.
whose praise with transcendental songs will be established as an irrevocable fact.
Jai. 49. Yes, 49, that's it. All right, well, we're on text 49, so let's get into it, even if there's only two of you now. Baladvija Suhin Mitra Pitra Bharatra Guru Druha Namesyan Nirayan Moksho Hyapivar Shayuta Yutai Bala boys Dvija the twice born Suhrit well-wishers, Mitra, friends, Pitra, parents, Bratra, brothers, Guru, preceptors, Druha, one who is killed, Na, never, Me, my, Syat, there shall be, Nirayat, from hell, Moksha, liberation, he, certainly, Api, although, Varsha, years, Ayuta, millions, Ayutai, being added. Translation. This is Yudhisthira speaking. If we remember from yesterday, he's lamenting because all of the soldiers, and there was like 640 million soldiers, died in the battle of Kurukshetra, a very, very big battle. And because he's a very compassionate devotee, and also because Krishna wants a certain lila to happen, he's overwhelmed with lamentation at such a loss of life on his, and he sees it on his own selfish behalf. Even though it clearly was not on Yudhisthira's selfish behalf, he tried to avoid it, such a thing over and over again. And he took some of the most mistreatment, especially during the gambling match. He was so tolerant. But because he's a very soft-hearted, compassionate devotee, he's taking the blame on himself. So he says, I've killed many boys, Brahmins, well-wishers, friends, parents, preceptors, and brothers. Though I live millions of years, I will not be relieved from the hell that awaits me for all these sins. Prabhupada is saying, whenever there is a war, there is certainly a massacre of many innocent living beings, such as boys, brahmanas, and women, whose killing is considered to be the greatest of sins. They are all innocent creatures, and in all circumstances, killing of them is forbidden in the scriptures. Maharaj Yudhishthir was aware of these mass killings. Similarly, there were friends, parents, and preceptors also on both sides, and all of them were killed. It was simply horrible for him to think of such killing, and therefore he was thinking of residing in hell for millions and billions of years. Craig, good morning. Hare Krishna. All right, let's chant to the Gurus. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishak Anvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaskute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhani Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Tarubhishcha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanabha Vaishnadevi Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vatsa Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Te Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashavya Deshatarine. Jai. As I was chanting, again I had a kind of a thinking realization about this verse actually. It's so interesting that Yudhishthir is taking the blame for such a massacre, even though actually, even dharmically speaking, and everyone, all the great personalities, none would cast the blame upon him. But because he's so compassionate, soft-hearted, and humble, he wants to take the blame. And he is taking the blame. But what a contrast that is to us. You know, even when something is totally our fault, whereas, no, it's not my fault. It must be her, or him, or this, or that. It's never me. It can never be me. So what a contrast between the pure devotee, Yudhishthira, and us, who is just like, no, it's not me. It can never be me. We don't want to look at our imperfections. We don't want to look at our lamentable qualities. But just see how the difference between the pure devotee and us. So that was kind of one of my revelations in my chanting just now that the Gurus gave me. And so anyhow, let's continue on reading. He's taking the blame for the battle of Kurukshetra. And let's see how he gets pacified. Naino ragya praja bhartur Dharma yudhe vadhodvisham Iti mena tu bodhaya Kalpate shasanam vachaha. Never. Ena, sins, Ragya, of the king, Prajabartu, of one who is engaged in the maintenance of the citizens, Dharma, for the right cause, Yudhe, in the fight, Vadha, killing, Dvisham, of the enemies, Iti, all these, Me, for me, Na, never, Tu, but, Bodhaya, for satisfaction, Kalpate, they are meant for administration, Shasanam, injunction, Vacha, words of. Translation, there is no sin for a king who kills for the right cause, who is engaged in maintaining his citizens, but this injunction is not applicable to me. Yudhisthira is still speaking. Purport, Maharaj Yudhishthira thought that although he was not actually involved in the administration of the kingdom, which was being carried on well by Duryodhana without harm to the citizens, he caused the killing of so many living beings only for his personal gain of the kingdom from the hands of Duryodhana. The killing was committed not in the course of administration, but for the sake of self-aggrandizement. Aggrandizement, I believe, is like kind of... yes. I'll get the exact definition just so Aggrandizement is, Google will tell you, the act of making something appear greater than it actually is, or to increase its power, wealth, or status. So self-aggrandizement is to promote your own position, your own power, your own wealth, your own status. So that's what Yudhisthira thought ultimately was happening. And as such, he thought himself responsible for all the sins. Yes, Yudhisthira received an increase in his self, his position, his power, his wealth. But ultimately it was due to, they were fighting for the dharmic cause, the right cause. And also ultimately they were fighting, they're pure devotees. They don't care about dharma so much. I mean, Yudhisthira does, he's Dharmaraj. But ultimately, they were fighting for Krishna, which is the ultimate, the Bhagavat Dharma. This is what God wants. This is what the Supreme Person wants, which is higher than any type of Dharma. Even yesterday, my wife was watching The Chosen. I'm sorry, I don't want to blow up her spot, but I actually took a lesson from the small thing I heard from her watching The Chosen. And Jesus was speaking, and one of the disciples was saying, well, it's in our law that we must honor our father and mother, but you're saying I'll turn mother against son, father against brother, and like this. So how is this applicable? And he was saying, like, yes, to honor your father and mother is one of the highest social responsibilities, but it doesn't mean, it's not higher than doing that which is wanted by God. So, right, it's the same thing. It's Bhagavat Dharma. What is the Dharma of the Lord? And then there's worldly Dharma. So like this. So actually Yudhisthira is lamenting about worldly Dharma right now. That's what he's on the platform put by the Lord. He's a pure devotee. But he's lamenting, especially because it has to do with his own self-gain. He's feeling himself unworthy in so many ways. But actually the higher Dharma is that what does the Lord want? And the Lord wanted the fight. So it must have happened. So anyhow, just like the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was put into lamentation. Yudhisthira was also put into lamentation by the Lord's arrangement, because there's going to be something wonderful to gain for everybody. And that's going to be the glorification and the teachings of Bhishma before he leaves this world. And Bhishma will teach the final and ultimate lesson in how to leave this world. So it's going to be very special when we get to this part of the Bhagavatam, but it's coming. Next verse, 51. Strinam addata bandhunam drohoyo savihotita karma bhigraha medhiye naham kalpo vyapohitum. Strinam, of the women, mat, by me, hatabandunam, of the friends who were killed, droha, enmity, yaha, that, aso, all those, iha, herewith, uttita, has accrued, karma bhi, by dint of work, Grahamediyai, by persons engaged in material welfare. Na, never, aham, I, kalpa, can expect, vyapohitum, undoing the same. I have killed many friends of women, and I have thus caused enmity to such an extent that it is not possible to undo it by material welfare work. Purport by Prabhupada. The Grahamedis are those whose only business is to perform welfare work for the sake of material prosperity. Such material prosperity is sometimes hampered by sinful activities, for the materialist is sure to commit sins, even unintentionally in the course of discharging material duties. To get relief from such sinful reactions, the Vedas prescribe several kinds of sacrifices. It is said in the Vedas that by performing the Ashvamedha Yagya, or horse sacrifice, one can get relief from even Brahmahatya, killing of a Brahmana. Yudhishthira Maharaj performed this Ashvamedha Yagya, but he thinks that even by performing such yagyas, it is not possible to get relief from the great sins committed. In war, either the husband or the brother, or even the father or sons go to fight. And when they are killed, a fresh enmity is created. Enmity is like the state of creating enemies. And thus a chain of actions and reactions increases, which is not possible to be counteracted even by thousands of Ashvamedha Yagyas. Immediately what I think of is look at Israel and or the Jewish religion and the Muslim religion. They've been fighting for years, thousands of years of fighting. These chain of reactions of this one killed this, well this one did this, and this one did this, and then over and over and over, and it can never be solved unless ultimately people ultimately surrender unto the Lord, which is the irony is that they both claim that that's what they're trying to do, but we see that's likely not the case if such things are continuously happening. But anyhow, the way of work or karma is like that. It creates one action and another reaction simultaneously and thus increases the chain of material activities. Remember, it's never ending. It just keeps going and going and going. We've been doing karma. We're not here in the business of, I want to do good karma. No, because that'll just keep more reactions. Binding the performer in material bondage. In the Bhagavad Gita 9:27 and 28, the remedy is suggested that such actions and reactions of the path of work can be checked only when work is done on behalf of the Supreme Lord. Only way. You offer that work on behalf of the Supreme Lord. We were in Rochester the other day, and it was the supposed day after of Gita Jayanti. And the little kids were chanted the 9th chapter, and this was their favorite verse, this Yat Karoshi verse, where everything that one offers, everything that one does, essentially offer it to me. This is the remedy for all of our problems. This is the remedy from getting implicated in more and more and more material activity. It's unending, and even when you think you're old, you're at the end of the race, you're just ready to get started on to the next race, unless you ultimately cut the bondage. And that has to be ultimately by the Lord's arrangement. You offer that which you do to the Lord. So the battle of Kurukshetra was actually fought by the will of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, as it is evident from his version. And only by his will was Yudhishthira placed on the throne of Hastinapur. Therefore, factually, no sin whatsoever touched the Pandavas, who were only the order carriers of the Lord. For others who declare war out of personal interest, the whole responsibility lies on them. So that's the difference between karma and bhakti, right there. That's also the difference between sometimes we can do bhakti, but if there's a little bit in for us, and the personal interest is guiding your bhakti, you're going to have to take responsibility. There's still karma to be done there. It's karma mishra bhakti. So that means there's still going to be bondage to what you've done. So ultimately we want to take we all have karma, right? We have certain family that we're all born in. We have certain family duties. We have certain natures and careers and a life that we built likely before we even got a glimpse of bhakti. That's all karma. So to do karma yoga is to take that and to link it with the Lord. But ultimately, when we come to the platform of bhakti, in order for it to be uttama bhakti, one, it should be Krishnanu Anushilana. The verse is Jnana Karma Dhyana Vritam. Anyabhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karma Dhyana Vritam. Anukulyena Krishnanu, something like that. Shilanam Bhaktir Uttama. So unless it's favorable to Krishna and then free of karma, that's your own personal interest, or jnana, the other personal interest of trying to acquire knowledge and relieve suffering in this world with the knowledge that you acquire, you're going to have to take responsibility. Meaning, you're going to have to come back here and serve your sentence for this type of interest. So this is ultimately, yes, it's a very big problem we've been dealing with eternally. Since time immemorial, as Prabhupada would say. But time to stop it. Prabhupada says, this life, just stop. I was hearing really nicely that even if you, he was talking about all the living entities who take birth in Vrindavan, like monkeys and, grass, plants, shrubs, all these things. He's saying that's for those who rendered significant amounts of service to Krishna, but they didn't complete the work, so they get a glorious destination, Vrindavan, but they have to take birth in the lower living entities there until they can actually finish. So don't be like that. Don't think, oh well, I'm hopeless. Everyone has. I mean, there's a story in the Bhagavatam. There's one king, I forget his name. It starts with a K. But he was given knowledge that he was to die, I think, in 7 seconds. So he immediately, just very intelligent, surrendered unto the Lord. And within those 7 seconds, he got the result. Because he gave 100% surrender. Now, maybe that's not in our ability right now to give, I can give 100% surrender. But guess what? You might be able to give 7% surrender. And then maybe tomorrow you can give 7.1. So in over time you can make significant advancement. And actually, if you're so sincere, and if it's so urgent, 7 seconds it can happen, and you can get the result. So don't take this lightly. Oh well, I'll do these duties today. Tomorrow I'll get a little better. Or I've come a long way. Yes, we've all come a long way to touch bhakti in this life. How far you must have made it in your travel throughout the material world. But don't pump the brakes. I'll go on cruise control now. No, keep going. Why? This responsibility of personal interest. You don't want this to touch you because whole other lives you don't know what you'll forget, what you'll be able to retain. Krishna guarantees that we'll continue off where we left off, but still. Michael, you and Craig are probably going to have to go. Oh, we're on the final verse though. If you want to stay for this, we can go fast. 52. Yatha pankena pankambha Surayava surakritam Bhuta hatyam tathaivaikam Na yagyer marshtum arhati Yatha, as much as pankena, by the mud, panka ambha, water mixed with mud, suraya, by wine, va, either, surakritam, impurity caused by the slight touch of wine, bhuta hatyam, killing of animals, tatha, like that, eva, certainly, ekam, one, na, never, yagyai, by the prescribed sacrifices, marshtum, to counteract, arhati, is worthwhile. Translation, as it is not possible to filter muddy water through mud or purify a wine-stained pot with wine, it is not possible to counteract the killing of men by sacrificing animals. That's Yudhisthira's conclusion. Ashvamedha yagyas or Gomedha yagyas, Prabhupada is saying. Sacrifices in which a horse or a bull is sacrificed were not, of course, for the purpose of killing the animals. Lord Chaitanya said that such animals sacrificed on the altar of yagya were rejuvenated and a new life was given to them. It was just to prove the efficacy of the hymns of the Vedas. Hare Krishna, Craig and Michael. Interestingly enough, if you guys were here Sunday, I was kind of revealing what I learned from this Christspiracy documentary. That I'm normally not a documentary or movie person, but when dealing with my family, I had to figure out how that's what they like to do. So how can I offer this to the Lord? Anyhow, interestingly enough, the biggest thing where Jesus displayed his anger was at actually all the animal sacrifices that were taking place, but also the personal interest that people were making in the slaughtering of animals in the temple. And he actually let all the temple sacrificial animals go, and he flipped the tables and spilled their money all over the floor. So anyhow, this is not obviously not a remedy to anything. Well, I'll just kill this animal, we'll slit the throat of a goat, and chant these prayers. It'll all be, but there's other things, a lot of people think Hare Krishna is like that. Oh, well, I chant, there's an offense to the Lord. Well, I do sins, but just by once chanting the name of Krishna, I can sincerely, more sins than I can even commit will be destroyed. Oh, that's wonderful news. So I can just do all the sins that I'd like, and I could just chant Hare Krishna. It'll be fine. Does this sound like a good idea? No, but what's the obstacle? Why will that not work? And what happens when you commit an offense to the holy name? Yeah, Krishna withholds the real nectar. It's not cheap. It's not, okay, I'll just chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. All right, let me see. This porn website, this is very good. Or, whatever the lingering thing, the lingering sins underneath the curtain, whatever those things are, unless you strive to be rid of those things and want to sincerely call to Krishna, to live a pure life devoted to him, then yes, even chanting Hare Krishna will not give the result. It's said in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that even after chanting for millions of lifetimes, it will not yield the result if we chant with offenses. But it's difficult, really, Even now, we're chanting. If we just read the verse in Shikshastakam this morning, that when will tears come to my eyes and my hair stand on end? When will all of these, they're called Ashta Sattvik Bhavs, come? Yes, when will they come? Because actually it's said in the Bhagavatam and re-emphasized in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and my wife was actually reading it to me yesterday, that if these things don't come, if we don't have tears well in our eyes and the hair standing on end, that means our heart is as hard as iron, which means that we're making offenses in our chanting. Prabhupada, his devotees were getting very upset about this, and he was reassuring them, don't worry about this. You just keep chanting and keep trying. Krishna will give you what you need. He'll take you to the next level. Don't be like, I'm an offense. You don't have to get neurotic. I'm an offensive chanter. Everything I'm doing is an offense. But you have to sincerely strive to do better. You have to find yourself, my gosh, maybe this time I'm spending Hare Krishna, scrolling on the phone or whatever the heck is going on, or Hare Krishna, and then let me replay all of my duties I want to do for the day, or, things like that. Really just doing mental activity on the guise of chanting Hare Krishna. Yes, we have to try and give a more sincere attempt. It's not possible to counteract all of these things. Even just by chanting. He's saying by sacrificing animals. It's only done through sincere chanting, pure chanting. And actually, does anyone know what's the ultimate gift that more and more sincere chanting will give you? How will Krishna's mercy come? Well, yeah, she'll get to do more chanting. That's one form of mercy, but then there's more than that. Yes, you'll get some service. Yes, that's the number one thing. That you'll meet, by sincere chanting, you'll meet a bona fide chanter, a bona fide, Krishna will send his mercy agent, which is the teacher, the guru. And if you don't have that yet, you know you have not done the sincere chanting enough. When you have and that doesn't necessarily look like, okay, I haven't met Srila Prabhupada yet, or I didn't find one of the guys on the altar yet, I'm in trouble. Yes, in one sense we are all in trouble, because we haven't met such personalities. But in another sense, it may look like just a more advanced devotee than yourself. Just having, the association of more elevated devotees. This is Krishna's mercy agent. So take the mercy agent and chant and hope that more and more mercy keeps coming. And yes, naturally serve the Vaishnavas. They're the desire trees. Even you want the desire of pure chanting, you want the desire of all the ashta sattvic bhavs or deep emotion in loving to Krishna. That's a much better desire than what most of us probably want, right? Or, I want my material situation to be nice. I throw in a nice wife in there, maybe two, something like this, right? I want the good job, I want this, that, and the other. Fine. You can get that all with namabas, which means not pure chanting. But Krishna will never give you the real nectar. He'll never give you the real nectar of himself with impure chanting. So anyway, let's just finish this here. By recitation of the hymns of the Vedas in the proper way, certainly the performer gets relief from the reactions of sins. But in case of such sacrifices improperly done under inexpert management, surely one has to become responsible for animal sacrifice. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, there is no possibility of performing the yagyas perfectly for want of expert brahmanas who are able to conduct such yagyas. This was the issue Jesus was having, because the Jews were doing animal sacrifice, and it looked like it was by the scripture, but actually because it was improperly done and the intention wasn't pure, and it became a money-making thing. He called this. He flipped over their tables and called them a den of murderers. It was translated out to a den of thieves, but more accurately, a den of murderers. So similarly, there's not many people doing animal sacrifice, kosher, or by the Vedic book anymore. Now people they don't even care to do so like that. They just eat anything and everything. Anything, everything. You will be responsible. You'll be responsible for this thing. You've been already responsible. You don't realize it. Your life up until this point. Everyone here, am I the only one who raised eating meat? Anyone here else eat meat before in their life? Okay, on the YouTube. We're held.
It's not just eating.
You're not just eating.
Killing,
Serving, all of the things.
anything
I
that's
serve
You serve.
in dining halls. Yeah.
I mean, it's probably less. But
Yes.
like some-
Yes. Everyone is getting
So it's
some.
my duty to do that. So
Yes.
I try to tell them, but they said you signed up for it, so you have to do it. So
Wow, you couldn't even give the religious convictions.
yeah, I tried, but they said no, you have to do it. You signed up for it.
Huh? Wow. I bet you could have made a big stink about that politically.
I could have, but I was like,
But anyway, no, not a big deal.
because everything there I touch is meat is everywhere. So
Yes, it's.
if the salad counter is there, the meat is there. Only so
I mean, even when you go to Costco or something, right? Oh, you were buying only vegetarian foods, and yes, I'll go to the grocery. You're giving money, and what do they do with the money? They give a lot of money to people to slaughter animals. They have the big animal slaughter section in the grocery store. So it's really we're implicated to some degree or another. But anyway, it's never recommended in this Kali Yuga because it can't be done properly, and people aren't interested in elevating the animal, which was actually part of the process. That you're actually elevating the animal, giving it a better life. But instead, what's done is, causing a lot of trauma and suffering and fear to the animal, and everything is self-interested. It's not pure at all. So we see this even in the so-called halal or kosher. I mean, maybe there's some people who can do it nicely, but it's said here, and it's said in the Shastras for Kali Yuga, this is not recommended because of the impurity of the Brahminical class, unable to perform this anymore. So, anyhow. Maharaj Yudhisthira therefore gives a hint to performing sacrifices in this age of Kali. In the Kali Yuga, the only sacrifice recommended is the performance of Harinam Yagya, inaugurated by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But one should not indulge in animal killing and counteract it by performing the Harinam Yagya. He's talking about sinning on the strength of the holy name. Those who are devotees of the Lord never kill an animal for self-interest. And as the Lord Arjuna, they do not refrain from performing the duty of a Kshatriya. The whole purpose, therefore, is served when everything is done for the will of the Lord. This is possible only for the devotees. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 8th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Prayers by Queen Kunti and Parikshit Saved. So that we'll end here today. We'll have the passing away of Bhishma Dev in the presence of Lord Krishna will be the next chapter. Very nice. It's actually my favorite chapter of the whole first canto is Bhishma Dev's passing. It's very epic. So anyhow,
He pours down all the wisdom.
yes, you're going to get a
I
whole...
just read the translation part of it. But
Yes.
And I was thinking when the Bhagavatam comes in and Prabhu will explain in detail, so it will be
Yes,
really good.
well, even better than if I explain it when Prabhupada explains it. It's very,
That's
very,
what I meant. Like,
yes,
Prabhu, you reading it and explaining it on that.
yes, yes,
Because I just read, when I was reading, I just read the translations of it. But
Yeah.
it was good. It
Yes.
was very engaging.
It's my favorite part of the whole first canto. So this is, we're in an epic part now. So we'll end here. Thank you guys for joining. Again, let's try and get back to setting a standard. Right now, Meghna is setting the standard for the ashram, getting me up early and everyone up early to come and worship the Lord. But we must actually, we should all be in conjunction and getting up and doing our duties nicely. But yes, thank you guys. Hare Krishna. And yeah, do your duties nicely.